Today we have the task 11 of process domain, which is plan and manage procurement. One of another important part of the project, because we think that procurement is only about project purchasing or buying things for the project. But it's actually, when I say things, so it includes what man, material, and machines. It goes for all of them. So procurement is about getting or acquiring the resources for the project, which will be required for the project. So we need to define resource requirements and needs, what we need. So we can perform product analysis, we can perform project analysis, we can perform document analysis, we can perform multi-criteria decision analysis to find out which type of resource will be better, a human, a robot nowadays. Uh, what will be their roles and responsibilities, what everything will be doing, what will be the resource control, who will be working under whose control. So you will define those requirements and you will have the resource management plan available for you. So in resource management plan, we will have the roles and responsibilities, their rewards and recognitions, their training requirement, their prerequisite, their resource control also. Once you have those things, so you will communicate resource requirement to relevant stakeholders, which means relevant department like PMO, procurement department, legal department, so they can find better deals for you. As you are not the expert of procurement in project management, or you may not be the expert, but at least you should know how the procurement process should work. What are the RFPs, RFQs, and RFIs when they have to be used, or IFB, invitation for bid. So you should know these project terminologies, that when does it happen, like we have request for proposal when you don't know anything and you want to get it done, request for information, you want to know how these things will be done, request for quotation about the known things, and if you already have the known scope of work, so you can go for invitation for bid. Or it could be the strategy of turnkey type of projects, or it could be the build, own, operate, transfer type of projects. So you should know about the type of project and their requirements and resource requirements. So from the OPA, you can get the suppliers and the contracts documentation, and you can prepare the contracts. So we can have agreements or contracts. Agreements are agreements can be like a simple purchase order kind of thing, simple terms and conditions. Well, while we have the contracts which are legal binding, and they have to be minimum bilateral, they could be multilateral also. So if you are not following the contract, you are breaching the contract. And the purpose of making the contract is to save the relationship. So once you have the contract, you will plan and manage procurement strategy. The most important part of procurement also, make or buy analysis, whether you will do it by yourself or get it done from outsource. So if you will get it done from outsource, you need to prepare the selection criteria, what type of suppliers can submit the bids or eligible to submit the bids, what will be the high level cost, what will be the statement of work, what will be the strategy if I do it, how much it's going to cost, and if I get it done from outsource, how much it's going to cost. So make or buy analysis is one of the important part. How the payments will be released based upon OPAs. If the suppliers have a different requirement, so how it can be handled. Like according to your organization policy, you can only take the things in advance and then you can pay, or you can only pay 50%. But the supplier is saying, no, pay me 100% advance. We don't have any policy like this. If you want, take it out, leave it. If like they are a sole source, they are the only one. So you have to modify your terms and conditions for that. And work on the delivery solution by following the agreements. So we can establish the agreement. If we know the scope of work, we can make fixed price of contracts, where as a buyer, I will keep the safe side and seller will be at risk. Or if we don't know the clear scope of work and we have a lot of progressive elaboration or evolving requirement, so we can go with the cost reimbursable type of contracts, where supplier is safe and as a buyer, I'll be at risk. And to make those type of contracts, we need to have a strong financial audit. And the third thing is what time and material type of contract, where we define the unit rates for the resources to be acquired, and then we pay them accordingly. In Agile, we can prepare a master service agreement for the whole project, and for each feature or addendums or appendix, we can make packages accordingly based upon the requirement. And that's how we do the Agile contracting and Agile projects. So as a project manager, you should know that you are working in centralized purchasing where they have proper departments. So there you will not be signing any contracts. Or maybe it could be a decentralized purchasing where they don't have departments and maybe a startup company and where you may assume a signing authority. And once you sign the contract, they have to be done like this. If you did not write termination clause, so you cannot terminate the clause. If you have conflict in the contracts, then you have to go for the claims administration or arbitration. Claims are those changes which could be contested changes or constructive changes, not agreeable, or different point of views like this. So you have to look at the claims and ultimately, if they are legal, you have to close them. If they are not aligning with the scope, you can send them to the claims department and you can close the procurement or phase or project. So that was a procurement task. Now let's go and read the question and try to solve them according to the explanation. So a project manager is leading a project where a vendor is engaged. The project has a dependency on the vendor to complete some work first. However, the vendor is constantly failing to complete their work on time. So we know that breach of contract is happening. How should the project manager mitigate this risk? Remember this, that do not find an answer, fire the contractor, remove the contractor. It's a difficult part. It shouldn't be your first answer because hiring another contractor will require a lot of resources and a lot of time, which can increase another delay for the project. It should be the last step, but not the first step. So let's go and read out the options. Create an integrated project schedule with the vendor and keep regular checkpoints with the vendor. Get approval from the sponsor to add a contingency buffer. Contingency buffer are in the control of project manager or sponsor. Can you please answer this on the chat window? Contingency reserves are under project manager or you need approval for sponsor. Contingency reserves are under the umbrella of project manager. For management reserve, it goes to sponsor. So it means by logic, it's by process is not correct. Remove. I told you this shouldn't be your first answer. So this is out of the, I don't know what is written, but I will not remove the vendor immediately. Ask the vendor to add new resources and approve overtime for existing resources to deliver their work on time. There is no discussion that they cannot cope up the schedule like this, and you cannot instruct anyone to pay them overtime because if you will ask them to pay overtime, they will ask you to pay overtime for them, even though if their fault. So remaining are two options, A or D. Which you think is better option? Exactly. A is better answer. Very good. Let's go next. A project manager is on a project in collaboration with a vendor. Vendor responded to RFP and project manager is working on statement of work. The sponsor wants to reduce project cost and ask the project manager to recommend options for the reduction of external cost. Which option has the best chances of success? Develop two plans. It's never going to help. It's never going to be the correct answer. You will not spend double energy. Develop a single plan, taking full responsibility for the delivery. Develop two plans and delegate. No. Develop a single project plan. So A and C are out of the league. Develop a single project plan and share responsibility for the delivery. Project manager is accountable for the project management plan or responsible for the project management plan? If you could answer this, please. For the project management plan, project manager is accountable or responsible? Who is preparing project management plan? Who prepares project management plan? Project manager prepares project management plan. So he should be or she should be accountable, right? This is my accountable. This is my project. How I can be responsible for that? I am accountable for that, not responsible. So if you will have two accountable, can you do the project? Think like this, that having two people leading the project, is it possible? Can you lead the project with two project managers? No, you will destroy the project. So taking full responsibility for the delivery. And for that, when you are preparing the plan, you need to have proper contingencies, you need to have proper risk management. You will be accountable for that. So, project manager is accountable for the scope of work, and project manager is responsible for the success of project. Great. Let's go next. A PM is on a project with high technical complexity. The PM is developing the resource plan based on the learning from a pilot rollout and decide to apply the resource profile used during the pilot to the complex technical project. Which of the following criteria should the project manager use to apply the resource profiles to meet the project needs for the full rollout? From these options, choose three answers. That what you need from the resource profile to apply on a full project, which you already tested on the pilot project. Business domain has nothing to do with the project, right? This is out of the league. What else I can remove? Surely A is correct answer. Team size you will create when you are selecting the project, so it cannot be the answer. So remaining answers are A, C, and D. Because team size will be different on pilot project. Team size was different on complex, on real project. Team size will be different. So you will not apply the same team size on the real project, right? You have to tailor it. So that's why team size is not the answer here. And business, I have nothing to do with the business. Yes, organization size matters. Like if the resources are not available, we need to acquire the resources. Organization size is OPA or internal EEF. Organization size is OPA or internal EEF. The things which are your constraints are actually internal EF or external EF. Remember like this. Next. A project manager needs to contract with a provider for a large government project. Project guidelines mandate that all potential providers have the same understanding of the procurement process. What should project manager hold to ensure compliance with the guidelines of this project? All suppliers have same understanding of procurement process. Try to reduce the details in the question so you can focus what they are asking. A project manager needs to contract with the provider for a large government project. Project guideline mandates that all providers, whoever submitting the bids, have the same understanding of the procurement process. They will follow our procurement process. So how can you ensure that anyone who is supplying the items, they have the same information? Direct negotiations with provider of similar past projects, bidders conference, individual meeting with each potential provider, procurement team, video conference. So you cannot do that. It's very difficult. If there are many, so you cannot go to so many people out of the league. And it's exactly the same thing that you cannot directly go with everyone. This word is wrong. It could be like you can say bidders conference, could be as a video conference, but yeah. So yes, better answer is B, bidder conference. Very good. Next. A supplier has been awarded FFP to provide various material. The supplier has received all documents related to specifications. By contract, supplier must deliver all the material on a specific date. When the material arrive at the site on time, why should the project manager inform the inspection group? You know, when you read the word, what is the purpose of inspection? Whenever someone is going to deliver, first quality control team will check it, then third party team of quality control will verify it, and then you will go to sponsor for acceptance of the deliverable. Then you will submit the invoice and close the deliverable. So you know the answer. To inform the team member responsible for the material to pick them up, to provide the finance department with documentation needed to pay the supplier invoice, to advise the procurement department that the contract has been fulfilled, to ensure that the material comply with the contract standards and specifications. So yes, to ensure that material. So we need to verify everything before we go to first. Very good. Next. The production of a key component in a construction project is outsourced to a third-party vendor. Vendor informs the PM that due to component shortages, the product will arrive in variable quantities and during a longer delivery schedule. What should the project manager do to address this issue? Meet with the sponsor to discuss penalties that can be imposed because of the changes. Why will you meet with the sponsor for this? To discuss penalties. You have to sit with the executives of your organization. Adjust the phases to match the delivery schedule of this critical component. When the baseline is approved, can you do that without change request? You cannot even touch it, right? Review the third-party vendor terms of delivery as specified in the vendor contract. Review the procurement plan for contract cancellation procedure while researching alternate suppliers. So instead of this shouldn't be your first answer, right? This shouldn't be your first answer. This first, and this could be number two, but this is our better option. So yes, all of you are correct. C is better answer here. Next, a PM is leading a project where a vendor is engaged in a fixed price contract. Even though the project requirements and timelines have been clearly defined and shared with the vendor, sponsor is worried about cost overrun. The sponsor is worried about cost overrun, which means I should have proper contingencies in my estimates. Plus, I should have proper earned value analysis or frequency of earned value analysis to ensure that we will meet the things. So you should be well prepared for that. Inform the sponsor that the risk is transferred to the vendor. Discuss the issue in the next meeting. Ask the sponsor to issue a request for proposal to identify potential vendors if the issue materializes. If the risk materializes, will be a better option, right? So wording is wrong. D is out of the league. Contingency funds are never provided by the sponsor. You have already answered previously. Sponsor provides management reserves, not contingency. Please remember that. Remove this thing from your mind. That's why I highlight it so you can actually know what it is. Contingency funding is the part of project manager. Management reserve is the part of sponsor. So we will never discuss things. We will never delay the things. Contingency is wrong. And if the issue means if the risk is materialized, we cannot see the if the issue materializes. So D is wrong just because of this word. So remaining answer here is only A. Inform the sponsor that buyer is safe, seller at risk. So this is the explanation of fixed price contracts. Risk is transferred to the seller. So please read the things carefully. Thank you. Next. Your project requires a specialized AI expertise not available. Sponsor suggests immediately hiring a vendor to save time. What you will do first as a PM, conduct a make or buy analysis and assess long-term capability impact, initiate vendor selection to avoid schedule delays, request procurement to issue an RFP immediately, approve external hiring due to urgency. So correct answer is initiate vendor selection to avoid schedule delays. When a sponsor is answering you, so initiate vendor selection to avoid schedule delays. What is the procurement process? First, we prepare the plan procurement, right? Procurement management plan. Then we conduct procurement and control procurement. So vendor selection will start after this option, not directly you will go to avoid schedule delays. How come the schedule delays will come? Your project requires specialized expertise not currently available internally. So it means you are at the planning stage. Thus the question says that you are at the thing. And initiate. You will not produce the change request. You will not have anything. Request procurement to issue an RFP immediately. Approve external hiring due to urgency. Whose task is this? PMO or functional manager? Request procurement to issue an RFP immediately. RFP for what? You will provide the RFP. They will not make the RFP. You have to tell them the requirement. Similarly, initiate vendor selection to avoid schedule delays. Question is in planning stage. Project has not started yet. So you will go and look. Things you need to do immediately, but even if you are looking at immediately, there should be a process. Process will not break. Do not fall in the trap of immediate things in the options. Urgently, immediately, yeah, do it. Even a sponsor is saying it. Sir, there is a process we have to follow. Thank you very much. Process is how to do that. You will just not jump. You are not going to buy the things from shop. No, you are going to do the project. It has to be done with the critical obligations. Uh, the provider are pre-qualified or not, right? You cannot submit the bids on the projects like this. You should have a proper pre-qualifications if you're working in good organizations. Similarly, you need to have proper fundings available. There should be proper proof of insurance and everything. It's not like that, oh, yeah, I will go and take it from the shop. It's not going to happen. I think all of you work in projects, and we do not make the contracts like with anyone else. If you need to be a provider of someone, there is a process which should be followed. You cannot bypass the process. I cannot submit the bid for anyone until I am pre-qualified for that. So we have to follow the procedure, that what type of things we have. Maybe we can provide training to our staff. Maybe we can get it consultants from outside in cheaper cost or in better functionalities. Maybe instead of buying the resources, we can prepare an AI agent for that, and it will help us to do the task. So there are many possible options available instead of just jumping off the guns and select the thing. You have to do what your sponsor is saying, but follow the process. Let's go next. Your project requires rapid deployment across 5 countries. So I know EEF is involved. Internal logistic capacity is limited. Again, external and internal EEF both are there. Multiple vendor offer partial services because they cannot have those services. What is the most appropriate solution strategy? Award contract to lowest cost vendor. Develop a hybrid delivery solution integrating multiple vendors with defined accountability structure. Perform delivery internally despite limitations. Delay rollout until capacity improves. So better answer is exactly. You will not do the things in isolation. You will do the things in collaboration. Last question for today. A dispute arises regarding interpretation of acceptance criteria. Both parties believe the contract supports their position. Forget the answer. Answer this first. When both parties are not ready to give up their position, which conflict management technique will be used? Just provide me that. And both parties do not give up. When don't both parties do not give up. This was our task one, manage conflict of people domain, where I explained them in detail. When both parties are not giving up in their position. So all of you have done enough practice, I guess, to answer this question, and none of your answers are correct. You find your gaps here by yourself. That's the purpose of doing the question. That what you are missing, what wrong concepts you might have in your mind, what different answers you have in your mind, and why you are making mistakes to not get proper score in the simulator. Again, let me repeat my statement. Simulator is not to memorize the question. Simulator is there to find a knowledge gap. Please follow this rule. If you will follow that, okay, I will prepare the simulator and I will go and set an exam, I'm giving you the guarantee you will fail the exam because you are missing the basics. If you are missing the basics, it doesn't matter. Question will never be in the exam exact same way as it should. What you see in the simulator, it's just for the practice of knowledge gaps. So remove the simulation part from your mind that these questions will be an exam. No, logic might be same, but it's the knowledge gap which you are missing. So I was expecting that some of you will give me the correct answer, but none of you gave me the correct answer. Review the contract language and engage procurement legal to interpret obligations before escalating. Review contract terms and involve procurement legally to clarify obligations before escalating. Escalate to arbitration immediately. Demand supplier compliance without discussions. Discussion is the most important part of project management. Without discussion, we cannot do anything. So C and D are out of the league. A and B are the options available. So if you look, review contract language and engage procurement legal to interpret obligations before escalating. Review contract terms and involve procurement. In project management, we involve a stakeholder or we engage a stakeholder. If you answer this, that is the answer. We involve the stakeholders or we engage stakeholders? Exactly. So you know the answer now. These are basics. Literally, if you know the basics of the processes, if you know the basics of the project management, you can easily pass the exam without over complexing the things. So yes, A is actually the correct answer. And that's here we reach the end of task 11, plan and manage procurement. Thank you very much.